Ever wonder how to steal someone's genetic identity? Have you ever wished to be as smart as Albert Einstein, as kind as Mother Teresa, or as blonde as Blake Lively? The possibilities are endless, as long as you look in your genes. So, what are genes, and can I suddenly become brilliant, caring, and beautiful with a good pair? Let's start with your genes. As a result of the Human Genome Project, an international scientific research project, humans now have a map of all the genes of human beings. It is like the genetic blueprint to build a human being. They discovered that the human body has 30,000 genes and 3 billion pairs of nucleotides which make up your DNA. A nucleotide is a phosphate and sugar combined with one base of adenine, guanine, thymine, or cytosine. The genes are the patterns of these nucleotides. So who can you blame for your appearance and personality? It's your parents' fault.
In order to create you, your mother's egg had 23 chromosomes and your father's sperm had 23 chromosomes to create a zygote, you, with 46 chromosomes. Each chromosome is composed of DNA and proteins. The DNA contains the instructions on how the cell should develop. Since the DNA cannot leave the nucleus, the RNA copies one strand of the DNA, takes it out of the nucleus, and attaches to ribosomes in the cytoplasm. Ribosomes build amino acids, and amino acids are what proteins are composed of. Proteins in the cell carry the instructions to display the genes. What do a human, a pea plant, or a mouse have in common? They all have DNA that looks like long threads. DNA is the universal language of life because all living organisms contain DNA, but you cannot distinguish which organism it is from the DNA. Each specific genetic code creates variations between organisms and within organisms.
The Human Genome Project has taught us that any genetic variation results in abnormalities. These disorders can even be caused by a single gene abnormality, such as in cystic fibrosis, where the gene on chromosome 7 is defective. This human genetic blueprint has not only allowed us to find the cause of disease, but has helped us to diagnose and treat through screening people who are potentially at risk.
On the positive side, this blueprint is allowing us to deal with disease and suffering. But can someone steal Blake Lively's genetic identity, and how? Stealing someone's identity is as simple as getting DNA from a cigarette, a used coffee cup, or a hairbrush. But then what? Once you have someone's DNA, you can reproduce their genetic makeup and specific traits by cloning, gene therapy, and genetic engineering.
Cloning is the ultimate genetic identity theft. A new organism is produced from the DNA of an existing organism. People have been successful in creating genetically identical copies of genes, cells, tissues, and finally, entire organisms. The first example of this was Dolly the sheep. Can you be next?
Gene therapy is a technique used to treat or prevent diseases by transplanting normal genes into cells where there are missing or defective genes, in order to correct the genetic disorder.
Gene therapy can also be used for phenotypic purposes. It has worked in organisms such as the glowfish, where the glow gene from jellyfish was inserted into fish. Scientists are working on genetic enhancements to improve memory, attain desirable personality traits, and increase lifespan. You could be the next Olympian.
The third and final way to steal someone's genetic identity is genetic engineering. DNA is manually added to an organism to make changes. For example, some plants can now tolerate herbicides. The genetic code has allowed engineers to manipulate traits so that the desirable traits remain. Are there any traits you want to change?
Since all people have the same genetic blueprint, and it is those small variations that cause differences between us, it has been a huge success for humans to be able to deal with the diseases and sicknesses caused by those genetic variations. But can we really control genetic identity theft?
As this becomes more of a reality, society must create laws to limit how genes should be manipulated. Imagine cloning the Queen. Imagine stealing Arnold Schwarzenegger's genetic identity to enhance muscle mass, or Blake Lively's beautiful blonde hair.
Scientific research has discovered the genetic map of creating a human being. Possibilities are endless. But have we opened a Pandora's box?